guys, welcome to Herding Little Cows to the Glory of God. Today is July 13th, and this is the daily.
Tomorrow is Josiah's birthday.
Tomorrow is Josiah's birthday. He's going to be 10 years old, so that's really, really exciting. So today we have something we're going to share with you at the end about how we met our good friends in Tennessee, but you got to listen to what I have to say first about what we did today. So we got up, got dressed, did all those things. Spent time with my mom this morning because she was headed to Ohio to see her mother and almost all of her siblings. One of her siblings is sick and won't be able to go, but most of the siblings are going to Ohio. Probably the last time they'll all get together for a long time because one of them is moving out of country. So we visited with my mom before she left. Then we saw my aunt and uncle quick when they came to pick her up because my aunt and uncle live here in Maine also, so they were all going out together driving today. And so it kind of threw off our day because my mom's not usually around in the morning while we're trying to do school and stuff, so we just decided not to do school. And then we also had Abigail had a chiropractor's appointment today. She's never seen the chiropractor before, but she had some stuff out in her neck and her back. So we went to the chiropractor. So that appointment was at 11. So our typical morning we're changing our schedule, and we'll talk more about that later. But our typical schedule has been we get up in the morning, after breakfast I do school with the littles, and then we do Bible together as a family at 9:30. Well, that didn't work in our schedule today because of all of that. So while I took Abigail to her 11 o'clock appointment, we're just keeping an eye on Josiah. While I took Abigail to her 11 o'clock appointment, these guys stayed home with everyone else and got lunch together, and I don't know, you guys did a puzzle and read some books and stuff like that while I was gone. Anything else exciting happened while I was gone? Okay. Her appointment went well. She'll go see him again next week. She did have things out, but nothing was too complicated of a problem. Then after lunch, I haven't said what we had. This morning we had eggs for breakfast. And for lunch we had chicken gravy with vegetables over rice.
And Gideon ate watermelon. That's what he did while you were gone.
Well, the rest of us had watermelon.
Well, true. He did some other stuff too, but he ate watermelon.
Gideon really likes watermelon.
He loves it.
He eats some foods, whatever he can from our meals, but he really likes chicken and black beans and watermelon. Those are his favorite things right now. So then we had nap time. So Mark and I chatted a little bit during that about some things we have going on, and while I got the little ones to sleep. And then we did stuff. Did we do something? We went outside and played in water, but we might have done something. Oh, I remember. There was chicken that had been cooked for lunch. I picked the chicken, and these guys went and picked up a Walmart order. So a couple people went out and got a Walmart order, which was a lot because I wanted to stock up on spices. We changed our diet for Josiah to see if it would make changes, and it didn't seem to help, but I've just been more aware of what is in different things we use. And one of the things we use is spice mixes, so like Italian spices or taco seasoning.
Seasoned salt. And
just seeing the amount of like anti-caking stuff that's in them, or like sugar added for no reason.
Or colors.
Did you know that they added sugar to canned peas?
Oh yeah, we opened a can of canned peas today someone had given us. We don't usually eat canned peas, but I thought it would be easy for the baby, and I looked at the ingredients and it was peas, water, sugar, salt. I understand the salt part, but I don't understand the sugar.
And there's more sugar than salt.
Yeah, and there's more sugar than salt. I guess because they're sweet peas. I don't know. So anyway, so just looking more at the ingredients of the things we have. So I bought a bunch of spices, the like little $1 ones, because we don't live near a Sam's Club. It might be cheaper to buy the big containers at Sam's Club per ounce, but a lot of them I found I couldn't get it shipped to me. I don't know why. It is so weird what they'll ship. Sometimes they'll ship M&Ms, which they will wrap in special packaging to make sure that they don't break or get warm or whatever. And then they'll send you cocoa and peanut butter just strewed in the box with not enough packaging around it, and your cocos all open up and explode cocoa powder everywhere.
Four large containers.
It was really amazing that the U.S. Postal Service didn't have some, we think that there's drugs in this box or something. We've had them send us oil that has smashed open and made an entire mess. We've had them send us cans of like tomato sauce that are like totally dented when they get here. But they won't send me a large jar of pepper. Doesn't make sense.
I was going to say about food stuff, the garden is starting to produce. So we've eaten some of the like salad greens, but then we've gotten like small sugar snap peas.
There's a crazy bird outside right now.
And we got our first zucchini.
Yes. I think I mentioned the zucchini on, not yesterday's, the one before. We didn't do one
There's
yesterday.
a bunch more growing out there.
So there's a bunch, there's a bunch of stuff growing out there. We'll come back to what we did today, but yesterday was Tuesday. Did we do anything special on Tuesday?
Josiah's last meds.
Josiah's we made a Facebook post about Josiah's last meds, and we've been having a better time seizure-wise until today. Everything, like we've definitely decreased seizures. Today we're having a hard time, but it was our first full day off medicine. He is super excited about his birthday tomorrow. And yesterday, I don't remember what else we did. We were just kind of around the house doing things yesterday. Oh, we had friends over. Okay, we weren't just around the house doing things. We had friends over for a few hours. So we had, I won't say names just because I don't know if they want me to, but we had 2 moms and a total of 5 children between those 2 moms and our family. And so there was soccer going on, there was hide and seek. What else was going on?
They swung on the swing for a while.
They were swinging. Basketball. There was
Snacks.
food. Yeah, there was food. So it was fun. And the moms and the big girls, we got to talk some Bible and just learn a little bit more about them and their testimony, what God has done in their lives, what God is doing in their families right now. It was just a really nice time. We all had a good time, and we'll be doing it again in a couple weeks because we'll be gone next week. So, yeah, so I never got to a video last night because last night just got crazy. So today, after they got home from the store, I had moved everything. We have 2 fridges, if you've watched any of our old videos. So while they were gone, I moved everything from the one smaller fridge, into the big fridge and put all the new stuff into the smaller fridge because we have a tendency to sometimes put all of the stuff, you know, like we'll put all of the milks in the one fridge, last week's milk and this week's milk, and then people forget and open the wrong ones. So we just separated it this time. And we also got tomatoes and grapes and avocados today from my mom and my aunt and uncle because they were all headed out of town. And what else? Oh, the pool came in. My mom ordered a pool because we had a pool last summer that we had to cut because it was the very end of its rope. So we cut that last year. My mom had gotten a pool from a friend, but it was leaking and we couldn't fix it. So
Leaking
a lot. So she bought a new pool, which was supposed to be here last Tuesday, which finally showed up yesterday. So we went through the box today just to make sure we had all the parts and pieces, but we'll put it together next week.
There are a lot of parts and pieces.
Yeah. So then you guys did the Walmart run, and then we did Bible together as a family.
No. Oh wait. Okay, sorry.
So after
I was confused.
we put all the food away, which Naomi got to put away, I was mentioning about the spices. I never finished that story. I bought a bunch of spices because once we use up what we have of like taco seasoning and things, I'm going to make our own. You can find them online, but like homemade taco seasoning that you put in the ingredients, and then you have just what you know is in there.
I hope we have enough cumin because there's like 10 things.
We use a lot of cumin because we eat a lot of Mexican. And spices don't necessarily go bad when the little date on the thing. You might have to use more to get the same flavor, but it doesn't like go bad that you're gonna get sick on it. One thing I don't let go too far over is nuts because nuts can go rancid, but most other things they just get drier.
Yeah.
I have dried spices that dried out. Oh no.
One other thing that I did today was I tried making challah bread.
Oh yes, that was yummy.
I'd never made it before, but we've talked about trying some different like ethnic foods, and we like bread, and so we made challah bread. It was good.
We did. So we she's checking her phone. She was talking to someone earlier who was asking a question that was kind of time sensitive. So she needs to make sure that person isn't writing back. Is it that person?
It was the other person that I talked to about that.
Okay, but everything's okay. So anyway, we then went outside and played. We had set up the little kiddie wading pool just for the kids to get wet because it was warm today. Mark and I went on a walk and everyone was just playing. And then we came back in and had supper, which was some leftover chicken that I had picked this afternoon. Some chicken broth, some cooked black beans, spinach, peppers and onions. And it was like a taco stew kind of thing that we ate with some guacamole. Some people had guacamole and chips.
Wait, there's guacamole?
There was guacamole. Oh, she didn't eat guacamole, I guess. So anyway, that was our supper. And Josiah, we were telling people on Facebook yesterday that he's been doing a lot better with seizures, which he has. He's also been doing a lot better with sleep, which he has, until last night. He did not sleep well last night, and he is having a bad day today. But I think part of it is just the excitement about his birthday tomorrow. Part of it was excitement about Grandma was bringing him his birthday present today, which was an automatic card shuffler, because Josiah loves cards, but he can't shuffle them because he has one hand. So she got him a card shuffler. He can do it. So I think it was just kind of a bunch of excitement about things. So is everything okay?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, somebody's stinky. So thank you, Daddy. And so then so we had a prayer time and then put people to bed because Josiah really needed to just go to sleep, and so he's in his bed, probably mostly asleep. What are you looking for? Okay.
What did we do in Bible today?
Oh yes, we go back to that. What did we do in Bible today?
1 John 3:11 through the end of the chapter, because we were reading through it yesterday and we got up to verse 10 of chapter 3, and we were talking so much that we ended up stopping there. So we picked back up where we were.
3:11 through the end of the book.
So as a family, we stop and talk about Bible like while we're doing our section. So depending on what we're doing, if it's like a chapter of Joshua, we usually will get through a whole chapter. 1 John is a lot to talk about in one sitting. So what we were originally planning on doing was just reading through 1 John. But of course, we couldn't read through 1 John without some commentary. So the conversation went really long yesterday. And today we still could have talked more, but people needed to get outside and play. We have, like, we do a long Bible time as a family, and I know some people do shorter Bible times and don't understand how our kids can sit so long. But I will just say that if we mess up our schedule, so like we normally do it from 9:30 to 11-ish during the day, but we tried to do it today at like 2:30, 3 o'clock, whatever it was. Doing it off schedule, the kids don't remember exactly what is wanted of them, and it's harder to
We
keep
do
them.
let them play part with you Bible time. We don't make them sit the entire time.
Yes, but they're harder to keep on task and quiet when it's not in the normal part of the schedule. Like if you were trying to put a child who normally takes a nap to nap, you know, they normally go to nap at 11.
Josiah, you alright? Okay.
If you normally have a child who goes to nap at 11 and you try to put them down at 10, it just is weird. Or if you try to wait until 1, it messes them up. And like a baby who normally takes like a 2-hour nap, if you try to lay them down before or after, they might not sleep as long. And so for our
They might take
kids,
4-hour nap.
right, for our kids, they do not sit as well if we do Bible at a different time of day. We still do it, but sometimes, you know, with an appointment or whatever, it gets thrown off. So, anything else? So 1 John, we were just kind of doing an overview of what it looks like to love the church, to love our fellow
You have
believers.
to love in deed and in truth, not just in words.
And so that brings us to our next topic. When we are not in Maine, we visit a church in Tennessee. I mean, a couple other churches along the way, depending where we are. But we're mostly in Tennessee for the winter. And so we just wanted to share a little bit of how we met the people at this church. So, who wants to?
I guess I'll start. So, it's kind of weird because we got connected with 2 guys. Is it okay to give names?
I don't know.
I don't know.
We,
Okay.
we'll try not to give. We'll try not to give names.
We'll try not to give names. Okay. So there's one guy. We got connected with 2 guys on Facebook.
Let's pick good names.
One of
Paul and Timothy, okay?
Well, I was just gonna say, I think we can say one of them is Waylon's dad.
Yes.
So, Waylon's dad and another guy. So Daddy and them got connected on Facebook. The other guy said, oh, well, you should come stay at our house while you're coming through the area, because we were going to G3 conference in Georgia on our way down to Florida, I think.
And so all of them live around the Knoxville area, and it was kind of a halfway point from where we were going to be to the next stop we were going to have. So that point made a good stopping point for us.
I remember, like, Daddy was looking at the route and said, hey, does anybody live around this area? Because we need a stopping point. Could we, like, stay in your driveway for a night with our camper or whatever? And then he's like, oh, there's this family. They've got all these little girls there. They want to see us. And, okay, some family, I don't know. But
So we were supposed to stay with this other guy, and he talked to us shortly before we were supposed to get there and said, I don't know that you're actually going to be able to get your camper in
It
our
was like
driveway.
a flood or some catastrophe or something.
Something had
Yeah.
happened that he didn't think we'd be able to get the camper over the bridge to his land.
Flooding is common in that region.
So
I
all
think
of,
it had something to do with flood.
all of a sudden we didn't have that place to stay anymore. We were
And that was
planning
like
on.
the day before we were supposed to get there, or that day. Like it wasn't like, okay, we can make different plans. It was, oh, what are we gonna do now?
So he said, well, you can stay at my friend's house. And so this guy, are we saying his name or not? Okay, so we're not going to say his name either, right?
Wait,
So-
the house that we stay at?
Yeah.
I don't know. Can we say their name?
Yeah, I think they're okay with that.
Okay.
Okay, Nick.
So Nick. So this other
And
guy said,
Stacy.
and
Nick has-
Stacy.
Nick has a wife.
Yes.
Nick's wife. We'll just do it like Noah. Noah's wife.
So this other guy said, well, you can stay at Nick and Stacy's. And so we met Waylon's dad and this other man and his wife and daughter and son at a park
No, okay, you can come to
on
know
a
Daddy.
Friday. And then, because we
Yeah.
were visiting other friends in the Tri-City area of Tennessee before we went down. So then we drove on a Sunday morning. I think we stopped to dump this
We had to dump the
camper.
poop at
Yeah, we had to
the
dump
pilot.
the septic at the pilot, then drive to Nick's house. And we've never met them before. I think you've talked to Nick at this point on Messenger or something?
Briefly,
You had talked to Nick because they had been in your video.
Oh, yes.
They
So-
submitted a video. That's not the same as like talking.
No, but I'm saying like we knew we
knew who they
had
were.
a image in our head of them because
Yes.
they had been in the
Standing in
video.
front of that scripture verse on the wall.
With a little
Yeah.
tiny baby.
So here,
Yeah, baby. Who's not a baby
their baby
anymore.
was a baby. So, I mean, their little,
Well, that made sense.
yeah, sorry. It was about 2 years ago. Like, when did we do the video? It was about 2 years ago because that was the baby that was in it, and that's about how old they are now. So about 2.5 years ago, we made a video for the anniversary of Roe versus Wade of people reading scripture verses. And so Nick and
Ironic, isn't it?
yeah,
Now.
well, yeah. So Nick and Stacy were in this video with a few of their children. And so we had seen that, and then this other guy said you can stay at their house. So we'd never met them, and we go up the hill.
Hold on, so I've got to
You
explain.
guys tell this story.
So we were supposed to stay at this one person's house, and there was flooding, and so we couldn't stay there. And he was like, "You can stay up on Nick and Stacy's hill, but I don't think you can get the camper up there." Well, I'm the driver because Mark can't drive because of his condition. I'm not very confident of myself driving. Anyway, this was before Virginia was driving.
Put it to the floor and don't
So-
stop until you get to the top.
So they told me it was this hill, and he didn't think our vehicle would make it up the hill. And I was so nervous. And I just remember how relieved I was to see Nick, because he was standing at the end of his driveway waving his arms like, you're here, you're here. And I just remember I had gotten at the bottom of the hill, because it's a steep hill going up. I had got at the bottom
I had
of
a
the
video
hill.
of that hill somewhere.
Yeah, I had stood on the gas. And I just kept thinking, I'm not going to make it up, I'm not going to make it up, I'm not going to make it up. And I saw him, and I was just so relieved, because right before you get to their driveway, it's kind of flattens out.
Finally levels off.
And I was like, I made it, I did it.
You didn't realize there was a hill past that, did you?
No, we had never been there.
Yeah, now we've
and
been up and down the other side of that hill on a regular basis.
so it's not, I understand why the other brother said, I'm not sure if you're going to make it up, but it didn't help my nervousness in the whole thing. And then Nick, how was Nick described to us?
So we said, oh, well, Nick, they said Nick would just haul it up for us if we needed him to, or back it in for us. And this other brother's daughter goes, yeah, Nick makes a lot of things work that shouldn't work. Like,
Oh no, he's
oh.
gonna break.
That's pretty accurate,
Okay,
though.
that is true though. Now knowing Nick, that is.
But
It's
they actually
very,
work fine.
very
He doesn't
talented.
like break anything to
Oh,
do
no,
it.
no, no.
And he's not like reckless in it. He just
No.
like does a good job at that.
So we get up to the top of the hill,
Super smart.
and he jumps in the driver's seat. I get out because I'm like, good, I got here. That's all I had to do. So Nick gets in the driver's seat to move our vehicle.
And we promptly got stuck in the muddy goat field.
So we've never met these people before. Barely even talked to them.
It's a Sunday morning.
It's a Sunday morning right before church. We show up at their house to stay there, parked in their goat pasture, and they're like they're so hospitable.
We get stuck in their goat pasture, and they're trying to help us get out so that we can
Get your church on time.
like detach our van and get ready for church.
And the throwing boards under the wheels as we're trying to get them.
Heroic kind of animated action film
And then
kind of stuff.
we need to get this out. Let's stop and pray.
Yes.
Yes.
Stopping and praying about so many different things that people would say, well, we just got to do this, and realizing the hand of God in everything. And
I had never before I met Nick Blevins, I had never prayed about starting a chainsaw. That was a first.
yes.
So,
But it's a good thing to do, ain't it?
so we pulled in.
I was a lumberjack for a long time.
What, bud?
So we pulled in, and we had never been there before. They're trying to get their family. I mean, if you go to church, you know how hectic it is getting out any Sunday morning. So
With 7 children.
at this point, their family is meeting, and the youngest was only like 8 weeks old or something
Yeah.
at the time. So at this point, the church was meeting in like a hotel conference room, and so Stacy's trying to get all the lunch together, get everybody in the vehicle, and all of that stuff. And so we all get in the vehicle, follow them over there, and we get there, and they get out of the vehicle, and they realize that they had left lunch at home, right? Was it lunch or something?
I don't remember, but I remember we walk in and we're trying to meet people, and we go in and people are like washing grapes in the bathroom.
I think they had gotten at least part of lunch.
They had to go home and get something, and I remember we asked if they had an extra head cover because we realized Abigail didn't have one.
I wonder if it was something for one of the little ones.
We don't.
I wonder if it was something for the baby.
Maybe
Something
it
like
was
that.
a baby.
We don't. Into me people.
We go in to meet people. Okay.
You probably don't even remember it because you were little
You were
too.
like 12 weeks old.
So we met people there. We met
When
everybody that
doesn't
we
sound
spent the winter with. Going to church. Well, actually, no, we didn't. Because we hadn't. The other part of that family. There was one family that there's like multiple sets of this family.
Oh, yeah.
And so
Kids that grew up and got married and have their own families. Three to six sides.
well, true. So we met some of them, but we met multiple people there.
It was
And
funny
then-
because there were multiple large families came that day.
Yes.
And
And
most of them, the kids all
Three of
start
them,
with the same
yeah,
letter.
3 of the families have children that their names all start with the same letter. So one family all has W names, one family all has A names, and one family all has D names.
And they
and
have
they're-
12 of them
For the D
D
names.
But
It's very large families. It's not like you have 3 kids and they all start with M. These are large. It's kind of like the Duggars. So it was just funny because I was able to just ask a child what their name was and I knew which parent they belonged to. Which was great. But
I
anyway.
am.
So I was actually really good because they were meeting in a hotel conference room at the time. And so we went there for church. We all had lunch together, got to spend some time with people, and then we went over to, is it a lake or a river or
river.
some
I
kind
think
of
it's a
body
river.
of water. Yeah.
With lots of
Probably a river.
winding roads. We had never been here before and there's all these winding roads.
Right,
to
and
get
We
there.
had the
the
big
whole van.
van brigade.
Because one family had like a
And we
Sprinter, and then there were like
Have
3
the pig.
12 or 15 passenger vans, and then a little tiny car. But we had a really good time. We went out, and there were 3 people baptized from 3 different families.
We currently have the biggest vehicle of the group.
Yeah, we currently now have the biggest vehicle.
You do.
We even beat the big family with the 12 kids. We beat them too. Anyway, not that it was competition.
But their
Not
family,
competition, though.
just so you know, their family wouldn't fit in either of our vehicles.
Yeah, true. They don't.
Ours are bigger, but not necessarily seat more.
So we met everybody, went to the baptisms, and we ended up going back, and we stayed at Nick and Stacy's house.
You have to be quiet or you can't be on the video.
How long did we stay the first time? We didn't stay terribly
Just a
long.
couple
3 days.
days.
You said?
Yeah.
I'm hearing
I
3
think
days.
it was
from the
like
other
2
room.
days one trip and 3 days the other, like with
Yeah.
going to Florida and back.
So then we went on our trip, and they invited us to come back, and so we came back on our way back north from vacation, and so that was really fun to spend more time with them, and then it
Hold
turned
on.
into.
Yeah,
Wait,
no,
what did I miss?
we didn't really get. We enjoyed our time with them the second time,
That's
but
right.
so as we were coming back, so this was February of 2020. As we are coming back from Florida, we get a call from Nick that the family had been sick, but nobody, like the kids had been sick. They still had some residual coughs, but no fevers anymore or anything. And so we were like, yes, we'll still come. Like, we gauge how people are feeling in a family. Like, we try not to expose ourselves to major sicknesses. But if people are recovering, we're okay, and we gauge whether it's a situation we should deal with or not.
But Nick said, I'm still sick. So
No, Nick wasn't sick when he called us
Oh,
that
that's
time.
right.
By the time we got to their house, Nick was sick.
So he stayed
Very
far away from
sick.
us.
So we think, kind of everybody thinks, not just us, but their family too, thinks that Nick probably had COVID, their family had COVID, before COVID was really a thing.
On this trip, we were just hearing little trickles of, hey, there's some virus over in China that people are
But
getting
we-
sick with. But
on that
we didn't
trip,
know what
we
it was.
met multiple people who were sick. There were a lot of people in January, February, March of that year before COVID was tested for that, looking back, were really sick with something. People,
Dr. White get sick at G3?
We had heard
People in
like there's
Florida.
5 people in the United States that have it or whatever, but
yeah,
didn't
we think it was really around before that because we knew people in Florida who had gotten sick. Hi. We knew people who were really sick in Georgia. We knew families who just kept getting sick over and over again. Not their family, just other families that kept getting sick. So we think they may have gotten that or some other sickness. But what I was going to say about it, what? Okay, so what we were going to say is we think that they were social distancing before social distancing was cool.
Because the
like,
guys wanted,
everyone is sitting
sorry.
on Nick's front porch and he stood like 10 feet away from them in the rain.
because
he wouldn't
he
get
wanted to be part of the men's Bible discussion.
But didn't want to make anyone sick. And this was before the CDC made all their rules of what people should do. So it was very much Christian hospitality at its finest, with wanting to make sure guests were, I mean, because they had other families over too, like wanting to make sure guests were being taken care of and all of that stuff. And there was whole things like people were not spreading illness and everything at that point. Actually, at that point, nobody knew that there was a big illness to spread, but they still weren't spreading illness because we left their house after a few days and we never got sick that time around. So, so anyway, Virginia's going to be right back. But
Let's not have any more COVID discussion.
yes, we don't want to discuss COVID. But anyway, just wanted to say that they were very hospitable from the very beginning. But then we have gone back to their house. Well, I will mention another small COVID thing. And we went last year to Tennessee to then go to Florida and Georgia. And we never ended up leaving Tennessee because Florida and Georgia, the places we were all going to go, there was COVID within the churches we were going to go from Tennessee to. So instead of going down, and all the states had like quarantine rules at the time, so we would have had to go quarantine at someone's house because anytime you traveled across state lines, you need, like, rules changed from the time we left Maine till the time we got to Tennessee. Because remember, a year ago, rules were changing like every 3 days. So we got from Maine to Tennessee to see them. We were going to stay with them for a week, go to Florida, and come back. And from the time we left Maine to the time we got to Tennessee, we would have then had to quarantine in the further states. And the churches we were going to see in those other states, people were sick with COVID. So we decided to leave Tennessee after a week and come back to Maine And then we did our full quarantine here in our own house.
But we've now developed such close relationships and spent so much time in Tennessee. And we've only known these saints for 3 years, not quite 3 years, not even 3 years now. Like 2.5. And so the first time that we had ever met Nick and Stacy, we were pulling up the hill to stay at their house. That was the first time we'd ever met. And so we went to church with them once then, and then once like a year later maybe. And then we spent like 3 months then.
And we've been out to do ministry with them a lot as like certain parts of the family and the whole family. And I remember one of the first messages I ever got from Stacy before we met them.
Oh yes!
Stacy wrote to me when we were going out on the street. Like, I picked up my phone hearing it go off. Daddy, I can do it in just a minute. I picked up the phone hearing it go off in my pocket as we were walking down to get on the street corner to do ministry, and it was Stacy asking, how do you go out with a large group of kids, because they hadn't gone out as a family before to do it. And so I was like, I'll write back to you because we're out on the street. And we actually have now gone out as families together to do ministry in Knoxville, so that's been very cool.
We've done singing, we did passing out tracts, and then we've just spent so many hours together in fellowship at church and Bible studies and
Eating together.
spending time as families, talking about what God has done, seeing their hospitality. I mean, we were living in a camper. They were welcome on our porch and everything, but we didn't all fit in the camper well, so.
Oh, we put them in there a couple times.
So it was more one-ended hospitality that we.
Virginia would go down and make meals at their house for both families. That was our way to be able to contribute to hospitality because we couldn't do. But we couldn't cook meals for both families in our camper because the larger pots didn't fit in the oven or on the stove.
They've been a huge blessing to us.
They have been a huge blessing. And another thing we really appreciate about the church down there, and this is all the people that are there, not just Nick and Stacy.
Have you mentioned
But
Christina yet?
no. Well, we were talking about the first time we met the Nick and Stacy. Like that's the family we're talking about right now.
But
We'll have to get
Christina,
into
too.
other people. Christina's
And
right.
Leah.
Yes. So we'll get into all of them on another day. But what I was going to say about the church, what we appreciate there is when you're together with them, people are discussing the Bible, discussing their actual lives and things that they're struggling with, prayer requests. I don't know. They don't give a, I don't know, like a simplified version of Christianity, like
Not a simplified version and not a false version.
right.
Like they're willing to share where they're struggling so that you can be bearing one another's burdens. And they're also quick to encourage and to point to the scriptures and to even point out sin in the lives of other believers. They're striving to point each other to the scripture. And if you like ask for a prayer request, then they will be praying for you. And they'll check in on you and be like, okay, so you asked for prayer about this thing. How is that going? Or they'll provide scriptures to encourage you in an area where you're struggling. And just bearing one another's burdens, pointing one another to Christ. Really building one another up in the faith.
Yeah.
It's really encouraging.
So that's been a real encouragement of that church that is currently meeting at Nick and Stacy's. So, all of that to say, we're very encouraged by their church down there. If you want more information about their church, maybe Mark can post a link down below to their church website. But we really enjoyed our time down there. And so that is what we did today. I don't know what we're going to go do this evening. We never watched more of the Muslim debate.
Right.
The
I gotta wash
Trinity
dishes at
versus
some
the
point.
Tawhid
Yes.
debate. But yes, and she's got to wash dishes. So that's what we're doing today. We'll see you guys next time on Hurting Little Cows to the Glory of God.
Bye.
Bye.